What does a writer need to be successful? And today we are going to hear from William Faulkner himself, everyone, on the tools you are going to need to produce masterpieces. And it is not a vintage typewriter. It's not an $800 minimalist computer or a Remarkable or an MFA or anything like that. It is the bare bones. It is the basics, because when we look at professional athletes, they focus on the fundamentals and then they build from there. But as writers, we want to hop immediately into postmodernism. We immediately want to optimize and do red light therapy and figure out whatever hack we can to get better. But most of the legends behind me had nothing. They had no biohacking. They had no diet. They had no time. They all worked jobs. And so our excuses in 2024 are really, really weak. And here on Right Conscious, we talk about William Faulkner. If you look at the playlist down below, you will find countless videos on Faulkner's books, his life, and his writing philosophy. And that playlist grows every single week. But enough for me, everyone. Let us now hear from Faulkner. The only environment the artist needs is whatever peace, whatever solitude, and whatever pleasure he can get at, not too high a cost. All the wrong environment will do is run his blood pressure up. He will spend more time being frustrated or outraged. My experience has been that the tools I need for my trade are paper, tobacco, food, and a little whiskey. The writer doesn't need economic freedom. All he needs is a pencil and some paper. I've never known anything good in writing to come from having accepted any free gift of money. The good writer never applies to a foundation. He's too busy writing something. If he isn't first rate, he fools himself by saying he hasn't got time or economic freedom. Good art can come out of thieves, bootleggers, or horse swipes. People really are afraid to find out just how much hardship and poverty they can stand. They are afraid to find out how tough they are. Nothing can destroy the good writer. The only thing that can alter the good writer is death. And Faulkner is 100% correct here. And this goes back to the concept of the burning desire. It doesn't matter how good your writing skills are, how talented you are, or how much money you have. None of that actually matters. What matters is, do you have a burning desire to do this? How far are you willing to go to make this happen? And today we have all this propaganda surrounding balance, work-life balance, family. And I say that stuff all the time. But in actuality, the winners just win by any means necessary. And that starts first and foremost with what Faulkner said, which is you need to create an environment by, sorry to use the Malcolm X phrase again, any means necessary where you can thrive as a writer. And it sucks because so many of you guys have made bad choices in your life in terms of artistic progress. You have a wife, you have a family, and you've a job, and all that is not structured on giving you the time. Maybe you love your wife, but maybe you picked a wife that doesn't really understand your artistic ambitions or understand that you need to get into a flow state for more than 3 or 4 hours multiple times a week if you want to get anything done related to art. Maybe you have a job that is super stressful or has you on call or something like that, and you can't get into the flow. You don't have the energy to put yourself on the page. But these are all choices that we made. And what's interesting about writers is that there are very few writers that I know who decided at age 30, like Murakami, hey, I'm a writer. Most of us wanted to do this. Most of us went to college, maybe took some creative writing classes or had an idea that we want to do this, didn't think we could do it. And then a decade later, we're like, oh shit, I'm going to be a writer now. I saw everyone else online living their artistic dreams. This is what I'm going to do. But between points A and B, you've accumulated a ton of baggage. So as I always tell all you guys out there, is the first thing you need to do is don't add any more. Don't add any more commitments. You need to stop the flow and start taking things off your plate. Don't get a dog, don't have another kid, don't commit Johnny to a sport that you're gonna have to show up to every single night. Because as Faulkner said, you're going to spend more time being frustrated and outraged when you can't write. I've been there before you guys. I've been in the bad relationships. I've been in the bad jobs where I couldn't read, I couldn't write, and you just start getting resentful. It's just oh my God. And it feels worse if you actually have that burning desire, because I also feel if that's there, then you really aren't going to get yourself in too many problematic situations because you can always get out. That's always going to be pushing you forward, and everyone else around you is going to know that you're serious. And this is why I say, don't hide behind a pen name. Have an identity. Because it's crazy. When you are confident, people are always really afraid about sharing dark parts about themselves to the world, whether that's related to their sexuality or if they do drugs or whatever. And I found that if I just am confident about everything that is polarizing in 2024 that I believe, and I say it up front, people automatically are like, oh shit, this guy really believes in this, and I'm not going to try and change them, try to change him. But there are plenty of people out there who are wishy-washy and aren't confident and don't stand behind what they believe in, even if it's crazy to consensual reality. And so they're always in a constant battle with other people. Because if you saw a bunch of Christians on the side of the road with a sign that said, "You're going to hell," and they're all protesting, would you walk up to them and think that there was any chance that you were going to convert them to paganism or something? No, you know that it's not possible, at least in this moment, because they're that confident. They believe it that much that they're out on the side of the road. And so that's how you need to be about your writing. You need to let people see that you are serious about this. And so moving forward, Faulkner says that the writer doesn't need economic freedom. And this is 100% true. That I feel that you should spend years of your life, if it takes you, finding a job that makes it really easy for you to write or really easy to just cruise at and not have any stress at, so that you can have more energy for your writing, for your family, and other things. Because there are some of you guys out there that work the most stressful jobs for no reason. That maybe you'll make $5,000 or $10,000 more a year, but it's like 30 times the effort than a job that pays a little bit less. And it may take you a couple years to find that job, but they for sure exist. Like, I don't write at my job. I'm a teacher. I'm like teaching and doing stuff all the time. But the school district I used to work in was insane. I worked at a school where a kid raped a teacher after school. There were stabbings at that school. It was stressful. Kids could get in a fight in a classroom and be back the next day because they didn't want to suspend anyone. It was insane. It was so stressful, you guys. Now I'm at a school that prioritizes education and behavior management and is in a really good community. And so there really is no stress at my job. Like, in general, it's very uplifting. I get to go and try to motivate people. And like, they sometimes don't listen and don't get motivated, but most of the time they do. And that's a job, though, that took me years of looking and years of switching schools to find. And so Faulkner also talks about money. And, one of my favorite turning points in my life was in my writing program, when there was like a big event. You had to like get together with all the other writing students and work the table and the event for free for some reason. And so I was at one of these, and there was this guy. He was just about to graduate and get his MFA. And he was like, "I don't know if I can write anymore. I haven't got accepted in any fellowships. I've gotten no money." And he was making it seem like the end of the world. And this dude sucked at writing. This dude just wrote, like, he'd throw a scarf on at the poetry reading, that talk like this. And he wasn't even, he was as straight as an arrow, but he felt so self-important that like he would just get all weird on the microphone. But in his mind, and the guys he was talking to, he felt like if he couldn't get any money, he couldn't be a writer anymore. That this dream was long over. And so Faulkner is right. The first-rate writers people that aren't first-rate writers usually have to make excuses, because if you are a first-rate writer in 2024, the publishing industry has somewhat fallen. But honestly, if you are good, you can find an agent, because an agent takes a cut and they will get you published. Like, honestly. I talk shit about the publishing industry all the time, and I'm not going to say that you're going to sell 100,000 copies, but if you are good and you want to get published by a major publisher, I guarantee you can. Unless you have like, oh my God, I have a novel about sex slavery. But most publishers are very open-minded to your stuff. Like, I'm writing about conservative things. They're not going to publish me. They'll publish you. If it's that good, they will. If it's that good, you will find an agent that will convince them. Guaranteed. And if you've had bad experiences with agents before, it's because your writing wasn't good enough to get accepted by the better agents. It's crazy. But that also goes for self-publishing. You don't need to get on a YouTube microphone like me. If you are a good writer, you could sit behind your desk and just write. You could release a novel and just release a bunch of short stories. And with a little bit of knowledge on how to reach out to people, I'll plug myself right now. I run a free writing school where I have the best course online, free or paid, on how to grow your reading audience. And you don't even need to get on a microphone or do anything like I'm doing. So if you want to join my free writing school, we have writing assignments every single week, videos on how to build your audience, poetry, sentence structure, among many others. You can go join us. If you click the link down in the description below, we already have over 1,000 members. The community honestly has been popping off. It's been so crazy. That's why I haven't been posting very much, because I've been over there grinding and like trying to read everyone's comments, and there's hundreds every single day. And so unfortunately, To get people to read your stuff, you may have to do some form of promotion. But if you have that burning desire, it's no problem. Like if you're not just a burning desire, because a lot of the time people think they have a burning desire because they want to be famous. They want to show everyone they're the best, and that can work. But if I challenge you to elevate that desire, to double down on that desire and make it bigger than yourself, make it bigger than art as an ideal, art as this glimpse of your beautiful mind, but doing art to alleviate unnecessary suffering in the world by transforming others through your art. If you do that, if you go out there with that mentality in the world, then doing stuff like promotion and stuff and, maybe more extrovert stuff, even if you never appear on a camera or on a microphone, feels much easier. Because if the totality of your work is a couple random dudes that buy your book are going to be mind blown and be like, damn, that guy's really crazy, that doesn't have very much rocket fuel. But if thousands of people are going to think deeply about their life, are going to be shocked, have that pit in their stomach that we've all had when we've read a great book, and then change their life because of your work, that's going to motivate you to do more to get that work in someone's hands. But Faulkner takes the anyone can write perspective. He says that good art can come out of thieves, bootleggers, horsewipes. And he's right. There are these talented individuals in the world that can just walk into something that they're perfectly aligned for and be automatically great at. Like my favorite example of this is I had a buddy in high school and he joined the wrestling team. And this was in a very competitive state at the highest division. And in one season, he went from never having grappled anyone in his life to taking second place in the state and getting scholarship opportunities. And he didn't take any. He's like, why do I care? I want to go do something else. I just wanted to be with my friends on the wrestling team. But that guy has a deep burning desire and the sport was perfect for him. But writing is the same way. There are people who you wouldn't expect to be good at this and they can just walk in and do it. And Faulkner knows it. Nothing can destroy the good writer. Nothing can kick you off that journey except death. And so I'm calling you guys to step up, to start to fuel that burning desire, because it's not just genetic. It's not the it factor. It's something that you can cultivate. It's something that you can build. It's something that through affirmations and through other things that you can start to realize within yourself. Because a lot of us have had our burning desire, that general hearth within our soul, just kind of kick down our entire life. Most of us have also never been around winners. Most of us have never actually seen the process of how to become good at something. And most of us have also been programmed through irony and negativity online to not understand the first steps on taking that journey. And the first step, if you are, let's say, someone who's been negatively programmed, is to just imitate, is to just look at Faulkner and say, I'm going to be like Faulkner. I'm going to write like Faulkner. I'm going to dress like Faulkner. I'm going to do everything like Faulkner. And it sounds crazy, but if you do it for just a little bit, then suddenly you understand what it feels like to be a professional. You feel the vibe, you feel something, and you contrast yourself from your old self and from everyone else around you. And then you go off on your original and purposeful journey. This is why people get obsessed with David Foster Wallace when they are young and some of these authors, because they are very easy to imitate. They feel very close. They feel very relatable. Same with Cormac McCarthy with kind of his cowboy, reclusive, sad boy stuff. Like men can really connect with that and you could really kind of embody that energy. And so that's something that you should be tapping into if you don't feel like you have that desire, if you don't feel like you have that energy. Because in art, we make fun of that. We're like, oh, you're just an imitator, you're not original. But in every other sport, that's what you do. I've played many sports. I've coached people in sports. I've been around people who are at a high level and been friends with people who've gone to the UFC and stuff. And what they do is they imitate other people, especially at the start of their journey. There's someone out there that has a similar build and they'll copy and do similar moves for a while and then modify. But they know because this person has a similar disposition, certain body type, and they use these moves that worked. If they use the same moves, it's going to work. It's mind-blowing. It's crazy. The same thing goes with writing. And if you look at most starts of people's career, that's how they unfortunately are deemed. Like McCarthy's first book review in the New York Times, just another Faulkner imitation. David Foster Wallace with The Broom of the System, same thing. They were calling him just a pinch-on hack. Plenty of other authors got the same treatment at the start of their career. But this stems from our inability to praise, our inability to actually recognize greatness and want to be it and want to embody that same energy. So what if Cormac McCarthy looked at the greatest Southern writer of all time and said, I want to be like him. Wow, I want to be like Flannery O'Connor. I want to embody that energy and do something similar. Is that a crime? And I'm also going to do it at a high level. I'm not going to write some hacky stuff. I'm going to write my own original stuff with the same original energy as Faulkner and O'Connor. But us today, because of our egos, think that we have these masterpieces within us. That's some crazy idea. And I've learned through poetry that finding that energy and following it that's done more for me than anything else. And what's beautiful about that is that it's just going to sound terrible, that you're not lonely anymore, that you feel like you have these allies with you, that you feel like some of the writers that I've carried with me, that I've used in my own writing, Antonio Machado, Robert Bly, Robinson Jeffers, I literally feel like when I'm writing, they're with me and they're like pouring their energy into me also. And so that's why I want for you guys, it starts with praise. It starts with you actually trying to cultivate your burning desire and not focusing so much on yourself, but on the task at hand. Because would you rather write a totally original work that no one cares about and ends up in the Kindle graveyard? Or would you rather ride the energy waves of the people before you and maybe not get called the most original writer of all time, but transform the lives of thousands of people? I will let you answer that. Maybe answer down in the comments below. And I will see you very soon in the next video.